All right. And we're live on both. It's been a while, people. Been quite a while. I know some of you guys are probably like, well, I don't know that because it's not real time. I'm probably watching this in the future. So, today I want to do an old school format, kind of like we've been getting away from my usual of how I do things, which is, of course, the past one or two, I've been kind of all over the place. Had two guests, and they didn't know quite what they were getting into, and that was always fun. Like I enjoyed that; that was great. But I was like, all right, let me get back into the swing. My real life is very chaotic, so I was like, okay, I might have to change the time to streaming to this time. I don't want to do that, but it seems to be that's how I have to do it for now. So I'm going to be aiming for around this time. I'm going to be streaming, which, most people won't find a problem with that if you're watching this on a rerun. Cool. But as the topic suggests, holidays. I was thinking on doing something last week with this topic, and things got crazy, so I couldn't. So it's fine. That's fine. I'm not mad. But what I have here is I have my notes. So there's things I want to talk about. And obviously for this topic, we're talking about holidays. We're talking about festivals. That's something I do want to clarify is I want to talk about festivals, which holidays, festivals, not exactly the same thing, but generally they are the same thing. The idea is that they're supposed to bring community or a group of people together so they can celebrate and partake in activities. They come together. Civilization comes together and interacts in some form of a celebratory manner. You don't make a holiday or a festival based on, hey, let's work harder today more than ever. That's a business thing. That's a corporation thing, not a individual or a civilized approach. I'm thinking off the top of my head, Warframe has their tech people, their corporate people. They would probably come up with some sort of like slave labor day. It's like, oh yeah, let's celebrate slavery. And so let's work harder today. Let's work a lot harder today more than any other day, because I'm drawing a blank on what those people are called, but that's sort of their gimmick. It's what they do. Corpus, duh. They're corpus. That's their name. And that's sort of what the corpus do is they profit off the backs of their workers. And so sorry, I'm right now sending some stuff here. Sending some stuff for my stream just to make sure it's all fine and good. So today with the holidays, currently we are like, this is the stretch of the year where we have Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and along with a shotgun blast of other holidays that take place. So not focusing in on any like real world holidays, but I'll definitely draw on them for examples. So like the first question that you might want to ask if you're creating a holiday in your game, you might be like, okay, what's the point? And so my feedback to you as a new dungeon master or a storyteller, even if you're not a new or you're experienced, if you're wondering what value could a holiday have, something so minuscule, something so background trivial, quite a bit. I mean, we could see with Christmas just how many stories come out about Christmas, usually in favor of emphasizing how great Christmas is, how it brings people together. World War One, there was the Christmas truce. That's a real life story. Absolutely fantastic. And so we have those examples of just cheerfulness, pleasantness, happiness from such holidays. And with those type of breakdowns, with those type of elements and factors into your story, what does your world think about that? So the first question I would have about your holiday is it a religious holiday or is it a national holiday? Is this something that people celebrate it because of their faith? Is it a bunch of drow who come together and they celebrate this miracle day of the seasons changing? For a drow who spends their time underground in the Underdark, I'm sure the seasons change much differently in the Underdark than they do elsewhere. Contrast that. If it's a national holiday, would that be all of the elves or all of the halflings? Here in America, which is where I'm from, if no one knew that, here in America, we celebrate Christmas as a national holiday. And some people believe that it's a religious holiday, and it is. Plenty of religions in America give reverence to Christmas. But even if you weren't religious in America, you could still observe the holiday of Christmas because it is a national holiday. And there's all kinds of distinctions as to the difference between national and religious. But the key takeaway is that the government establishes, or the established government offers, let's say, labor shortages incentives. Like you can have people take off from work. You can be excused from work, excused from school. You can be excused from whatever duties and obligations that you have to society and to your everyday things, because the government is there to say, no, you have the right to take off this day, or you have the privilege to take off this day. Does that mean everyone gets off that day? No. If you're running a kingdom, you still got to have guards on duty. You still got to have your knights prepared to defend the castle in case they get attacked. So you still have these various positions and people who work during these holidays. But, focusing or backtracking on what type of category of holiday is this? Or is it going for religious? Is it going for a national? I can't really think of anything outside of those. You could focus it in. It's a community, like a small towns festival. You could focus in on, is it a household festival? People like to talk about Friends Day giving. It's a way of, if you don't have a Thanksgiving, you don't have a family to spend time with, and you just have friends. You don't have a family. Well, some people decided to coin the phrase Friends Day giving, which is effectively it's a household thing. It's a small friend group thing, not a community, not a town, not a city, not a nation, and definitely not a religion. So that would be the questions you want to ask when you're initially throwing out this idea for a holiday. And the next thing you'd want to know is, what does the holiday do? What is it about? I know that seems kind of simple, but that's typically where you're going to start initially when you come up with the idea of a holiday. You're going to be thinking, there should be a holiday worshiping the rain. And then you're going to start trying to fill out, okay, what are some of the things? Why do these people worship the rain? What do they gain out of it? Why do they do it? And you're going to start asking all these questions and unraveling the idea behind worshiping the rain. And by the way, on that note, off the top of my head, I'm thinking you could have a worshiping the rain being a part of it, but you could also have worshiping of the rain being a build up to it. So it's like prophesied, when it rains on the third day after it rains in September, that is the day you observe this religious day or this religious holiday, or your people, your community celebrate this holiday. So the moment the rain occurs, everyone knows, all right, in 3 days' time, we gather around and celebrate. So this is where as a DM, you're going to have your opportunities, because once you have a theme and an idea for what it is exactly that your festival is about, you can then decide what activities take place at this festival. In real life, we have Thanksgiving, which is celebrated by turkeys and pilgrims and leaves, autumn leaves. So, you have all kinds of things to symbolize that holiday. Oktoberfest, that one is symbolized by the coveralls or the overalls, the suspenders, the stockings and shoes, along with giant steins of beer. You can imagine what it would be like for a dwarven holiday. What would they celebrate? I imagine dwarves would probably celebrate a day of war and combat. Definitely, they would have a Veterans Day of some kind, provided they're not a workaholic race. They might be a workaholic race. They might say, hey, we got to work, and mine. I don't know. Depends on what you want for your lore. Depends on what you want for your realm, your story, whatever it is that you're writing. So you can have your dwarves who are like, hey, we're going to celebrate a day of war and conquest. They could also celebrate a signature marriage. The king of the dwarves married the queen of the dwarves. And it was such a impactful, powerful day. It united the dwarven clans. And it's a day of celebration. Again, you have these elements and these factors added into the story that now you have the opportunity to have quests. So as a DM, you could say, okay, this festival is going to occur celebrating the king of the dwarves and the queen of the dwarves. And as per a tradition, a male dwarf gets crowned king, and a queen dwarf gets crowned queen. Or a female dwarf gets crowned queen. And everyone dances and celebrates as these two are crowned. And then you can have a quest, side quest if you would. The woman who's been crowned queen gets sick. She falls deathly ill. Someone stole the crown. Or no one can find the king. The king disappeared. And it's going to be an absolute disaster if they can't find him. Well, these are some interesting ideas you could work with for a festival. And you ask yourself, what do they do at this festival? Do they dance? Do they barbecue? Do they sing and write songs together? Do they play simple games? I don't know the name of the board with the beanies, but Horseshoe is a common game in D&D. Chess, obviously, is a common one. Poker is capable in D&D. So yeah, there's all kinds of things you could have take place in this festival. And you don't have to detail out too much of it for your players. But if you get inspired and you're like, "Hey, I want to add this, I want to add that," go for it. Don't be ashamed of it. I often tell people, if you're going to steal something, do it shamelessly. Don't half-ass your work. Don't give them something that's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to pull the rug out from underneath you and subvert your expectations." Don't do that. Players like feeling like they're clever. They like feeling like they're smart. And you don't need to make things more complicated than what they need. The objective is for them to go on the adventure and explore it, gain experience, and have some fun. So, typically they'll kill themselves with their stupidity. They'll think something is more complicated than what it is, or they'll be overcautious and they won't throw danger to the wind. In my experience, players will do that anyway. So I don't try controlling it. I don't try telling them what to do. I just set the scenario and I roll the tape. Let them go. Let the players decide what they're going to do. Let them explore it. So another question you would want to think about for your festival or holiday is this a part of the main quest or is this a part of the side quest? When you have a festival going on or an event, such as a festival or a holiday, a celebration, when you have something like that going on, you have the ability to have it as the center point of why they're in the town or in the city or wherever it is that they're at, the center point of the story. And you could choose to have side quests along with it. You could have it that everyone's prepping for this celebration and you need to get materials before the celebration can happen. And you're on a timeline or a deadline. So, you got to have, you got to get some lumber. Some oxes are missing that are supposed to help move decorations around town. So you give the players a task. Hey, we need you guys to find 2 oxes for us. Now there's happens to be a hill full of oxes over yonder. If you guys can go out into the fields and go see if you can find some. If you have a druid in the party, that's fantastic. Druid could say, all right, let me go see if I can find him. You have a hunter. I'll see if I can track some down. And now you have your players on some quests doing stuff. Now, going more into the nuance of the holiday, more into the nuance, you have to think about how do people feel about it? How do people feel about this holiday? Are they excited about it? Are they careless about it? So, you can get people who are opposing it. And there's different reasons why someone could oppose a holiday. They could have bad family memories. They could just say, hey, I don't have a family, so I don't really care. I'd rather not celebrate this holiday for whatever reason. Come up with some motivations for your Mr. Grinches, your Mr. Scrooges, people who are they're not happy about the holiday typically because of family or something. Go with religious. Someone could say, no, I don't approve of that religion. I think dwarves would definitely be opposed to having to observe elven religions in their towns or festivals. Elven traditions, it'd be like, no. Then again, dwarves might not. Depends on your setting. How do you have them written? I know elves would probably have a problem doing some daily devotions and observations with drow. Drow are over here. Hey, we want to celebrate our holiday. And you have to capture a spider. It has to be a large spider. You got to capture one and put a little tiny hat on its head. Like that's their tradition for this holiday. Normal elves are going to be like, yeah, no, we're good not doing that. We're good skipping over this holiday. Might think about orcs. What type of holidays would they observe? Which gets into religion and politics. What are the orcs' concerns? What would they celebrate? Maybe they don't celebrate at all. To them, they don't see a point. They celebrate after a victory. So their culture is like, yeah, I don't approve of these arbitrary dates that you set, because to an orc, they don't have a different concept of time. They don't understand that, like, hey, the months go in cycles, and you have a calendar. You can put the day of the calendar on there. Orcs are like, no, that doesn't make sense. Every day is different from the last. You can't just arbitrarily say this is the 3rd day of January. That doesn't make any sense to an orc. And that doesn't. How can you tell this is January 3rd? That's what an orc's gonna say. They can't tell the difference. They can't read. And then it also gets to ignorance. Ignorant reason. Someone just doesn't know that it's a holiday. They're not from this culture. They come in from out of town. And they're like, you know what? I don't like this holiday stuff. I don't like this holiday because it's not what my people did where I came from. This seems like a holiday localized to this area. So I'm opposed to any holiday. I don't like holidays. Valid reason. And then you begin looking at and analyzing, what about approval? What if someone approves of the holiday? Well, there's obvious reasons why you'd approve it, same as the ones you'd be against it. Family, religion, politics, and ignorance. Have very fond memories. Christmas by the fire, nice and warm while it's snowing outside. Easter with the kids. You remember taking the kids out and having them go on egg hunts? Give them little drawings and have them decorate the garden. As Americans, we like to celebrate our 4th of July with our Independence Day with barbecuing. That's great. I love 4th of July, personally. So you get them out there, and it's like, all right, here's a day where we get to just hang out with friends and family. Go out. There's all kinds of ways you could celebrate 4th of July. You can go out fishing, go out camping, do it in your backyard with barbecue. All kinds of things you could do for a holiday like 4th of July, which is the point. It's done in a nice day in the year, across the whole year. It's a fantastic day. So when you factor in that stuff, it's like a very universal, or I should say versatile holiday that many people can observe. And so when you have a lot of people can observe, you're going to have a lot of people with different reasons why they like it. One person might say, I love it because of family. Another person might say, I love it because of a political reason. Whenever we celebrate this holiday, the goblins across the street get really upset, or across the chasm get really upset. So the gnomes get very happy that they can upset the goblins across the way. And so then I get to this next part, which if you haven't noticed with this entire topic, I've been kind of dancing around avoiding, which is cultural impact. How significant or insignificant is this holiday that you're coming up with? You know, we talked about that a little bit just a moment ago. But I mean, seriously, you should think about that. That's a question. How significant is this culturally? Is this something that everyone celebrates? Or maybe it's a holiday that is like a grim day to remember. It's an unofficial holiday, you know, like 9/11. Is it like a day of sorrow, a day of mourning? And I say 9/11 because, again, I'm American. Sorry to say. Or sorry to break that news to you, anyone who might not like that. But yeah, 9/11 is a day of observance here. And several different ways you can celebrate it. And, you know, some people celebrate it with happiness. Some people celebrate it with, you know, a prayer. They take a moment, take a knee, say a silent prayer, maybe a loud prayer. Now, what's also interesting about, in the month of September, it's fascinating to me about the month of September, is in history, that's when a lot of battles took place, because the weather in September was very, very nice. So it's fascinating. You take a month in the year where battle is very optimal, very favorable for a medieval society. Well, not just for medieval, because I was going to say World War I and World War II, September had a lot of battles take place in it, because that's when you have a reduction in mud. You have a lot less rain. You have nice sunshine. So, of course, you would get a lot of battle, because those are ideal conditions for soldiers to fight in. If you have mechanical tanks, airplanes, they operate a lot better under clear skies and sunshine than in rain, thunderstorms. Don't have to worry about your instruments getting wet. Don't have to worry about your men or logistics getting sunken in the mud. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So when it comes to things like the cultural impact, you gotta think about that and weigh it. You know, it's a fascinating concept that you'll see in some stories is that the festival or the holiday is praised by most. And then you come across someone who's opposed to it. And they're in a sea of people who are absolutely praising of it. Again, like the Grinch. But again, unlike the Grinch, you may not want your this character to be an antagonist. You know, you might want this character to be social, a friend of the party. It's just they're not interested in the holiday. They don't care. So these are some of the ideas that I'm thinking about. Some of the ideas that I think if you're working with your holiday, you should think about, why are you making it? What's the goal here? You know, what's the cultural impact that you want to share with the players? And I think it's a good thing to say or to observe that celebrations are a morale boost, and they can help have your players do some engagement, especially if you have some mini games out there for the players to get involved in. If you don't have them pressed against time, that would be something I would emphasize as a DM in storytelling. Do you want these players to be rushing through here or not? Because if they're on a time crunch, they're going to not want to slow down and participate in all of these fun activities you might have come up with. If you didn't come up with anything, then, by all means, you can rush them through the story. But if you're like, hey, I put all this time and energy into making a holiday or a festival, I want the players to be able to actually take a moment and enjoy it. I want them to do some relationship building with each other, because they're going to be able to do all kinds of things. Take them over to Vegetable Justice and have some guy over a dunk tank insulting them, making fun of them, and then they grab some tomatoes and they try knocking him out, try dunking him. Some ideas there. I'm sure plenty of people would absolutely love that. Absolutely love the idea of doing one of those dunk tank games. All right, let me check and see. Let me see if I have anyone in chat. Hello, chat. Is there anyone in chat? Not on the YouTube. How about on my Rumble? Anyone in Rumble? I have 4 people watching on Rumble. Anyone on Rumble? Any of you guys want to say anything? Speak up. How you doing? You guys are welcome. You don't have to be shy. Part of the fun of doing this is talking with the chat. Oh. I got emoji. 4 people. Oh. I got emoji and Niraj. Niraj is in the chat. All right, so let's see. We got emoji says, Yaster, Strath, grab me, best me freshtis, freshtis, minato, t lock, yeah. All right. Oh, Niraj says yes. And he says, I would seriously throw tomatoes at people. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Do you have a swinging arm, Niraj? Can you actually I don't know. I'm trying to think of what type of sport would I imagine you playing? Baseball, hockey, football. I don't think football. I don't think basketball either. I'm leaning towards baseball would be probably more your speed. And then also probably hockey too. I think hockey and baseball would probably be more your speed. But under that circumstance, I'm thinking like, okay, give me a dexterity roll to make that tomato land, with a baseball swing. Probably not very good throwing arm anymore, but I played baseball and football as a kid. Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, I never really got to play baseball. My youth group, we did softball, which again, like if you're thinking about things to do for a festival, you're looking for things to do with your holiday, gift wrapping is something to think about, consider. Is there some sort of like gift exchange? Because like if the holiday is about, say, baseball, well, then, okay, the tradition could be that you give the kid or a dude or a chick or a mom or whoever, you give them a instrument or an item for it. Niraj says, yeah, I played a little hockey as a kid too. Yeah, see? Yeah. So, yeah, these are things that to think about with the holiday. Music is another one. What type of music? What type of music do you play for a holiday? Is it a jovial music? Is it kind of like calm and passive music? Is it like ritual music? Are they trying to, calm the spirits, bring balance to nature? That could be what the holiday is about. It could be about um, communion with nature, realigning your spirit with the stars and the earth. Very Native American. Do people go long distances with this festival? Do they travel from all over the place to go here to do that? Or why are they here? Do they come to see family? Is that a part of the holiday? Again, these are questions. Get your head racking, thinking about it. What's the objective? What's the goal? And a lot of my thoughts about this, again, I was just thinking about this because of the holidays and something I don't have a lot of in my repertoire of stories. I mean, I've had a few events take place. Like I've had tournaments, combat tournaments for the players to do. Um, they don't typically get involved in them, surprisingly. Uh, I've had one that the players chose to get involved in. And then it was like, okay. I had a drinking contest in another one. Players didn't want to get involved in that. They said, nah, I'm good. Here's Niraj. He says, you might also add activities that are craft based as well. Yes. Costume contests. Some festivals have produce contests or judging contests on growing livestock. Those are especially valuable to fantasy. Don't forget dancing and drinking too, as well as music. Yeah, exactly. One of my friends, she actually is a big baker. She loves cooking, specifically for festivals, local contests. And you can have fun when you have a contest, and it can be fun. I highly recommend, by the way, if you want your players to be involved with your activities, incentivize them with experience. Okay. I reward my players, Niraj could tell you, I reward them with crafting XP. Okay. That's a part of skills, that's a part of role play. And sometimes it's a part of combat. Typically, if it's in a part of combat, it's some form of a repair or some kind of manipulation of objects. But we're talking about a festival here, not combat. So, yes, crafting is a great way of getting people involved. Skill checks are a great way of getting people involved in just doing things with the holiday. They might have an NPC, players might have an NPC that they want to get involved with, and that NPC wants to stop and partake in these festivities. Don't hold the players back. Let them have fun with it. They want to be immersed in the culture, in your world. So let them get involved. And just, I'm hoping with this stream, it'll get your imagination flowing, get your thoughts going. And you'll think, hey, I didn't think about these things, but now I will be. And instead of shutting them down, I'm going to try encouraging them. I'm going to try cultivating them. Highly recommend that. And how I do music at some point, I mean, I've already covered the topic of music, but music is something that I've done in my games where I incentivize the players to use music in game. I have had one of my players, Chaos Ryzen, Chaos Ryzen, the benefactor. His character used to play I want to say a flute. I think a flute or a violin. His character used to play as just like his favorite character's hobby. It was just something he did in his off time, which if you know your players have hobbies or skills, they have a chess set, they have a musical instrument, that's a perfect opportunity to let them use those instruments. You can encourage them to be involved with those instruments. You can have an NPC who's like, hey, I can't play this instrument, but if one of you in the audience can, I'll let you have it for free. And it's such a harmless item. And the player might say, that sounds like a really strange deal. Why would they do that? But it's a free item. They might say, hey, I'll do it. It's free. There's no cost to me. And now suddenly you're taking a person, a player, and you're getting them engaged. You're having them do stuff. And again, there's always this skeptical part of a player's mind where it's like, I don't trust the DM. How's the DM planning my demise? But again, if you as a DM are trying to make a festival warm, welcoming, engaging, like, hey, you guys just got done slaying a dragon, or at the end of the campaign, you're going to slay a dragon. I want you guys to slow down and get involved, get attached to this community, get attached to this town, fall in love with the people, and come up with a motivation to realize when the dragon or the evil lich or the evil drow sorcerer, when they're planning to destroy the town, the players now have something to lose because they like that town. They enjoyed being in that town. There are people in that town that they care about. If everyone in the town is a jerk, players don't care. Who cares? There's just a bunch of jerks in that town. No one was nice. No one was worth saving. No one was helpful. As far as I'm concerned, the entire town can burn. But if you have something like a festival, you have something where people get to see other people. It allows them to show their character. It allows them to show a side of their character that they often don't get to show. A part of their character they might not have even thought about. Which, that's something as a DM you have to gauge, as a storyteller, gauge, pay attention to how they behave and how they perform. If you see them and they're hesitant, they're cautious about getting involved, you might want to sit on it for a session. Because they might think about it between sessions. Man, I could have done this. I could have done that. I could have done this. And if they come at you and tell you that, your response should be, write it down. Tell them to write it down. Because if they seem so engaged and so interested in doing it, if they write it down, they're going to have the idea of, okay, let me come back and let me see if that's a good idea. Let me explore that idea. And you never know. As a player, you never know. As a DM, you do know. A DM, you're like, all right, I have an idea as to how I'm going to do this. Or that player is tugging on a string that I left there. They're going to follow the breadcrumbs. So you want to cultivate that. I know from a player's perspective on things like this, it's easy to take the idea of, oh, I'm just trying to do the quest. I'm just trying to get gold. I'm just trying to get money. I'm just trying to bang prostitutes. I'm just looking to get upgraded weapons, upgraded spell slots, more power, more strength. I'm trying to find a pet dog. I want to get a dog. I'm very adamant about getting this dog. I know players can be all over the place, very fickle about what their motivations and interests are. That's where I'm saying, you gotta, under those circumstances, you gotta have the ability to draw in and cultivate what the players want to do. And if you offer them something that has no real consequence to it, but only benefits to them, more likely than not, they'll get involved. They'll do it. Now, there is a level of reading the room, reading the players, understanding if someone's a rogue and their character's a wanted criminal, they're not going to be looking to be involved in the stage dance contest where they're in front of the entire crowd dancing. They might want to say, hey, I'm going to go find someone in the crowd, just one person or two, and see if I can fence some goods or get a chess game going. That's easily what someone like that would do. They're trying to maintain a low profile. They don't want to be. They don't want their fame to get to them. Catching up with them. They have bounty hunters chasing them. So you have these type of concerns, and you have different tools as a dungeon master, as a storyteller, to lure and bring in the players, get them involved, and make your world more immersive. Have a day worshiping the shark. Have a day worshiping an underwater city people that don't exist, or maybe they do exist. I'm playing this game right now that is a part of the Cthulhu mythos, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's great. Has all kinds of little nuggets here and there, Easter eggs about the Cthulhu mythos and the Dagon. And in it, you find that's like the different Easter egg or the different breadcrumbs sprinkled about the main story that you're following along. You're trying to understand what's going on, what happened. And you have these cultists who worship this underground or underwater god, and they get there's a tablet that you find. I just found this tablet the other day, and this tablet says that the divine will rise up from the earth, and these cultists are taking this to mean like this divine creature in the ocean is going to rise up and ascend us all to heaven or into eternity. I think that's how it was phrased. And this laboratory is like, this is a very interesting tablet. We don't know where it's from. But these people are now on board with this cult. And they're obviously trying to kill your character. And they're trying to, you're trying to solve this mystery of your cousin who's been kidnapped. The game, if you didn't know, is Forgive Me, Father. It's a fantastic game. It's a classic game. It takes the spirit of Wolfenstein, the original Wolfenstein, the original Doom. I love it. It's great. There's a lot of 2D graphics in it for the artwork, like trash cans and bags and things like that on the ground. They're 2D art. All the bad guys are 2D. So I have some qualms with the game, but overall, it's a great game. But from the villain's perspective, even though they're doing all these evil and bad things, from their perspective, their motivation is to ascend to heaven. And so they're on board with this evil cult that is using its power and its influence, its control over the people. Hey, we're doing this devotion day. we're doing this festival, this day of returning. Which, I mean, if you ever want some ideas for what type of holidays, look no further than a lot of the Asian cultures. One of my favorite things to research and find at some point was the I want to say it's the Mongolian death rituals. Absolutely fantastic how they have these ancient texts that, or they call them books, but they're effectively like these scrolls that are laid on top of each other, and they're like hundreds of years old. And whenever someone dies, they have this ritual that they have to perform in a very timely manner. So it's a community involved thing. So every time someone dies in their community, they have to observe this tradition, and they have to do it in a timely manner, because if they don't, then they get the spirit itself becomes corrupted and damaged, and then they need to do like an exorcist ceremony to properly bury the body. So if you're looking for some ideas for some really great holiday ideas and things you could have your people worshiping, and as I said, my preference, I really love the idea of cults. I've said that before in a previous stream. I love the idea of cults. I love the mystery behind them. And so when you have them with some sort of like religious holiday, and the religious holiday has a secret hidden meaning behind it, that gets exciting, especially if your players don't know it and they're slowly starting to peel back the layers to discover, oh, this holiday exists because it's an attempt to bury another holiday. It exists because there's some cult out there that wants this holiday to summon some sort of monster or beast, or it's some sort of sacrificial ritual that empowers their leader. Probably, if you've never seen the show Supernatural, it is probably like the best episode. Sorry, guy. He says, you are American, right? Shouldn't you roleplay worshiping money? Yes. Yes, that's a great idea. That's actually a very original idea, is worshiping money. But what I'm talking about is if you have a cult that is interested in basically, I'm sorry, getting off track. Sorry, I read the chat and now I'm distracted. Damn it, chat. So Supernatural, in the first season, I think it's the first season, there's a particular episode about a holiday observation. And if you manage to survive up to this episode, I want to say it's like episode 6 or episode 7 of season 1. It's called Scarecrow. And it is a phenomenal episode. I highly recommend, if you've never seen another episode of Supernatural, Scarecrow is the episode to watch. That's the episode you want to watch. Because it is about a pagan holiday, and it's about this sacrifice of fertile food to this scarecrow statue. It's not quite a statue. It's more like a scarecrow ward or a symbol. And it turns out that this scarecrow monster, if it gets pissed off, it comes to life and starts killing people. So don't piss off this ancient old god or this ancient spirit or deity. I want to say hi to all the new people who are joining us, talking about holiday stuff. And not holiday stuff, but holiday and story writing. And sorry guy says, bah ha 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 ha. Sorry, bud. I spend my god. I'm not sure how to take that. I mean, I was talking earlier about the corpus in Warframe. The corpus in Warframe, which Warframe is like a sci-fi game. The corpus, their entire faction is based on worshiping money. Like, that's actually a quote in the game, is that they are just greedy people who worship money. And I mean, money is like quite literally like there's these crowns, these granum crowns that you can turn in exchange for things. Well, these people, the corpus, they hold these crowns as like a sacred relic that they put up on this high pedestal, and you can actually have like an altar devoted to this coin, this like really big golden coin or bronze coin, or brass coin. So I mean, there's an idea if you want a tech future or some kind of capitalist, let's say capitalist or corporatist faith or holiday. I don't see the corpus taking very likely to something like Labor Day. I don't see them taking lightly to any type of holiday where it's like, hey, don't work today, as we saw with like the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was like, oh yeah, we don't care if you take the day off. We want you to work every day. There's no reason for you to celebrate or have a holiday. Your devotion should be to the party and the cause at all times. Which, if your players come into a town like Icewind Dale and they manage or campaign like Icewind Dale in one of the 10 towns, they come in, they can actually make an impact. They might make a holiday after these people, after the players. Niraj says Dune did something similar as well. The Fremen used water rings as a form of the worth of the individual Fremen. Really? I did not know that. That is news to me. I'm not a big Dune guy. I have friends who are big Dune guys, and so like they tell me some things, and I find it fascinating. But yeah, I'm not a big Dune guy. Which, you think I would be, being a sci-fi nerd. A lot of people are like, you're not big into sci-fi. And I'm like, oh, I love sci-fi. I absolutely love sci-fi. I've been a sci-fi nerd my entire life. Is anyone else in the chat? We have 9 people watching. Anyone else in the chat want to speak up, say something? I'd love hearing your input. Like, part of the fun of this is talking with the chat. Oh, now I'm losing people. Rip, sad day. Down to 7 people. They're like, oh no, he's calling us out. Niraj says the accumulated wealth of the Fremen was measured in the rings he or she carried. Oh, okay. Sorry, guy. In Dune, water was wealth. Water ring represented it, which was stored in Sitch. Sorry, I'm one of those sci-fi nerds of which he speaks. See, there you go. So Sorry Guy and Niraj are both Dune nerds. Now, if I recall, Niraj, you're not that big into Dune. Plus that yummy still water. The yummy still water. Is there a difference? I mean, I know there's a difference between clean water and tap water or fresh water and salt water. Dune equivalent of 40K corpse starch. Ooh. Yeah, that does not sound pleasant. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's no. Water taken from the dead. Yeah, no. I love it, but no. I love it. I love that idea because, like, I love as I said before about cultists. Like, that's fun with cultists having this this really weird, bizarre ritual, and it's understandable when someone like Dune. Sorry, I'm gonna listen more and type less. Hey, sorry, guy. That's awesome. I'm very grateful for what you've contributed so far. So I appreciate you. Niraj said that's not the entirety of it. The Fremen and the Arrakis held water very sacred, but there were huge underground aquifers of stored water on Dune, which makes sense. Because I mean, like a part of the idea of sand pits. Is it sand pits? Quicksand. I'm sorry, quicksand. Part of the problem with quicksand is that underneath the sand in the desert, it does accumulate water, and as you are walking over the sand, you slip right through because your body mass is heavier than the sand and it's lighter than the water. So when you sink into it, you get trapped. You just slip right through and you're trapped. And then that creates the whole I forget the Newton theory for it. But yeah, so bottom line is there's water underneath the desert. That's makes sense. The Fremen did Niraj says the Fremen did have a thing for distilling the fluids from the dead to contribute to Dune's water. Sorry guy says, I'm the black lesbianism from Steam. Oh, I know who you are, sorry guy. Yes, the Fremen had no choice but to keep that water. Well, now that I know who sorry guy is, I appreciate you stopping by, sir. I appreciate that. I'm glad you got to catch up on one of these streams. I didn't want to have to stream this late, but it was like circumstances had forced my hand. Do I have I want to check and see something. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I got for the topic of holidays. I know it's not much, but that's pretty much what I got. Sorry, guys, says can't miss this stuff live. Hardly ever get the chance. Rock on. Yeah, rock and stone, brother. To the bone. And I'm checking to see. Yeah, I was checking to see like if I had any other good examples. Because I in a lot of my stories, I love having different holidays. A great Batman villain who's often undersold is Calendar Man. And a lot of people like Calendar Man, but he's a very, very gimmicky character who can only be used for holiday-themed stories. And once you understand his theme or his gimmick, the character's kind of like, all right, we're done. Like, idea shot, no longer necessary. We can't reuse him because once you figure out his gimmick, you're done. Now, you could, of course, come up with different ideas how to reinvent the wheel, create the illusion of change. That's fine. I'm all for that. Calendar Man, fascinating character who's about planning crimes around the calendar day. And then you have a character like Calendar Girl who does something similar, but her shtick or her gimmick is that she would plan out her crimes over a long period of time, and she would actually jump from one holiday to the next. So you would hear nothing from her for a month until the following month, when you would know that, okay, this person's gone missing. But again, in her case, her entire motivation was revenge. So everything she was doing, the themes of what she was doing, going after her co-stars, going after her director, going after her I'm not sure if it was a lawyer she went after, but she was going after people who she felt scorned her. Where Calendar Man, his motivation is just random, I think. His motivation is typically like, hey, I have a compulsion to this holiday, and I have to commit a crime under the theme of that holiday. So whether it's theft, murder, blackmail, whatever it is, he has this, I want to say, narcissistic compulsion. So much that under the Long Halloween, he took it as a slight, as someone's trying to get one over on him by doing these murders on a holiday calendar type theme. Niraj says Rockin' Stone. Yes. Sorry, guys. Says Calendar Man. Sounds lame. An idea born from a Tuesday hangover mixed with the impending deadline. I forget who created Calendar Man. Man, let me look that up. Who created Calendar Man? I'm gonna laugh if it's someone like Jack Kirby. DC. Calendar Man. Julian Day. He's the OG. Oh, Calendar Man was created by Bill Finger and Sheldon Moldov. First appearance was Detective Comics 259, 1958, September. Bill Finger, for those that don't know, is considered the one of the main architects of Batman. But all right, I think that's a good place to wrap this up. I have next week. I'm planning on it. Maybe I'll bring back. I think I'll bring back graphics. He's been dying to get back on here and start streaming. He had absolutely enjoyed our last conversation. So if you haven't checked out that one, that's so far like my most watched video on YouTube and on Rumble. On YouTube, it's not like it has like no watches, but on Rumble, I had a lot of watches from that. So highly recommend checking that one out. Also, not last week, the one before that, after graphics, I had my friend V on. We went all over the place. That's why this one I went with more of a structure. I had my bullet points. Niraj says, Bill Finger is the guy that augmented Batman's costume to be more iconic, I think. He did. He also was the one who advocated for Batman not to go around killing people, where Bob Kane, who's also the creator of Batman, he wanted Batman to be more aligned with like Zorro and Sherlock Holmes. Sorry, guys, says, I'll give it a pass. The 50s were the 50s. Plans are for lovers. I don't even know what that means. Plans are for lovers. But yeah, so I plan to have graphics on. I'm aiming for next week. If possible, I'll do it earlier because that's what time seems to work best for him. Last time he was on, he also fell asleep. So I was just like, dude, which we had a good laugh about it, but I was like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? All right, so sorry, guy says losers. Goddamned autocorrect. So he says plans are for losers. That's what he meant. Makes sense. Damn, autocorrect just screwing things up on me. Yeah, get sick and tired of autocorrect saying duck. You know what I mean, autocorrect. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys talking and spend time with me and hearing me ramble. So you guys have a good night, and I will see what I'm going to be doing next. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care. And how do I end this stream is the objective. I got to find that out. Right here.